From minor cuts and bruises to major trauma from the front line, there's rarely a quiet day at Camp Bastion Hospital in Helmand. The Royal Naval Command team dealt with more than 2,000 casualties there before they handed over to one Medical Regiment. They also gave Carla Prater a special insight into their daily life.
The Royal Free Hospital at Camp Bastion is considered to be the #1 trauma centre in the world. Throughout Herrick 14, it's been led by a Royal Naval Command team who have treated over 2,000 casualties, including minor injuries as well as massive trauma. The emergency department is the hospital's front line. The staff here will have a wealth of experience. Faced with seeing the worst side of conflict, they support each other round the clock. Lieutenant Heather Jaffrey leads the nursing team. She's been in the Navy 20 years, served in Bosnia and Iraq, but this is her first Herrick tour. She's just had news that a member of the Afghan National Security Forces is being brought in with gunshot wounds to the neck.
I think while we've been out here, the busiest day we've had 12 casualties arrive with us at once. So it's very busy in here, but organised chaos. Everyone knows what they're doing, and the primary role is to stabilise the patient and move them on to wherever they need to go to next.
British and American soldiers make up the majority of patients here, but ANSF and other ISAF forces are also treated, as well as a small number of civilians.
I think it's important to come together after every casualty that's arrived with us, and we tend to have a debrief and a group hug. And it's the process of getting through it. All of us are experienced ED nurses anyway, so we do see these things on a day-to-day basis, but I don't think that takes away from what we see here.
Before treatment, patients are often taken to the CT department to be scanned, creating an internal image of the injury. This morning, a child was brought in that had stepped on an IED and lost both legs and an arm. This is where the next course of action is decided.
Nobody knows what's going inside, where the bleed is, where the damage is for the bones, or how badly it's done. So this is actually telling us this is wrong with someone and how it needs to get fixed. And he's been quite busy too, I think. I haven't seen something like that before. I've been to Talik and Iraq, and this is something different.
In the operating theatre, this is a mock-up of how staff would deal with a triple amputee. But only a few hours earlier, they were doing it for real. The surgeons here depend on the teams on the ground, the medics and the soldiers themselves. It's their work keeping people alive that makes the surgery here a success.
So whilst you're actually in here in the operating theatre, you've got to be focused. After a number of big injuries, you are aware of it. If you're in the canteen at lunchtime and there's people from the regiment or the soldier who've just been working on, then you can feel uncomfortable. And I'm always aware that all the soldiers here are potentially casualties as well that we may end up having to look after.
The most serious patients are taken back to the UK in about 24 hours. 1 in 3 trauma surgery patients face some kind of infection, but the staff here are fighting it.
Because of the environment here, actually, there's a lot of microorganisms that live in the soil and in the dirt out here. We generally give them prophylactic antibiotics, and then we follow them through when they get to Birmingham. And we're preventing wound infections. There's a wound infection surveillance programme in Birmingham that's ongoing.
Of course, as well as medication, the patients rely on regular supplies of blood. In a month, the hospital can get through over 2,500 units of blood, and it's all stored in refrigerators like these. Now, the blood themselves only lasts about 35 days, so the hospital relies on regular donations from the UK and from within Bastion. June was a particularly busy month. They got through over 3,000 units, but the last 2 days have also been demanding with multiple casualties. All survived. The blood here is their lifeline.
The vast majority of our blood is shipped in from the UK, so there's a national blood service in the UK. Bleed the regular donor, so if you're a donor in the UK, it just goes as normal, so some of your blood could come out here. Shipments of platelets 5 times a week, plasma as required, and red cells once a week. And then as we're using it, just contact the blood supply team and get some more, and it's just a continual process.
The hospital has quiet days and busy days. It's not easy, but there's a pride in working here, and morale never stays dented for long. Because for every loss, thousands more have survived thanks to the work of the staff here. Carla Prater, Forces News, Camp Bastion.